a lot of great NFL people this past week, John Madden being one of the biggest ones, but there's one that I feel people don't need to look over, and I think this one means especially a little bit more to you in your fanhood. So let's get into that story.
Yeah. Dan Reeves, former head coach of the Denver Broncos, the New York Giants, and the Atlanta Falcons, and former player of the Dallas Cowboys in the 1960s and assistant coach for Dallas in the 1970s, passed away recently. He died at the age of 77. And looking back on Dan Reeves, and he had a long, distinguished career in the NFL. But the thing about Reeves, from his days as a player and through a coach, growing up as as a little kid, I spent a lot of time watching NFL Network and things like that. And I always remember watching like the NFL films and the NFL's greatest games and all those kind of deals. And I feel like Dan Reeves was always involved in those games. Like he was always involved in those moments. He was in the Ice Bowl. He threw a touchdown pass on like a halfback option, like a pitch pass, to give the Cowboys a late lead before Bart Starr had the drive to win it at the end of the game. I mean, he was there, right? He was the head coach in the 70s with their big assistant coach, for Dallas in the 70s when they had some of their other big games against the Steelers, right? He was a head coach for John Elway when you had the drive in 1986 and the fumble in 1987. He was the head coach in the Atlanta Falcons when they upset the high-flying Minnesota Vikings in one of the great games ever in 1998. He was the guy that drafted Michael Vick, traded up to get him number 1 overall.
What a great
He's
move.
Kind of a figure that's been lost, but he's a big name. Sorry, go ahead.
I was saying that's a great move by him. Drafting Michael Vick, a very successful move.
Yeah, worked out awesome. And I think the thing with Reeves is like, we kind of sort of forget because we focused sometimes on people that just win a bunch of Super Bowls or the biggest names or the biggest celebrities. But Reeves from basically 1960 to 2005 was like on the cutting edge of everything football, right? Every big game, big moment, most dominant teams, most exciting things, new innovations. He drafted John Elway. He drafted Michael Vick. He won a Super Bowl as a player and as he was a player coach, and then went on to coach to go to 4 different Super Bowls as a head coach, 3 with Denver, 1 with Atlanta. I think when I look back on Dan Reeves, and I see a guy who had nothing but success in his NFL career, and I think that should really be commended.
Yeah, and I think also it means a lot to me. He came from where I'm from, or at least he went to school there. He was a player at South Carolina University of South Carolina Gamecocks, so big time legend in this area as well. If anyone didn't know, I'm from South Carolina. He went to high school in Georgia. So that's probably the Atlanta Falcon tie. He always probably been a Georgia native. He is in the South Carolina Athletics Hall of Fame. He's inducted in 2006. He's got one of the greatest careers ever. I think it says he's one of 9 coaches in NFL history to win over 200 games, including the playoffs. He won multiple Coach of the Years. He's one of very few coaches to ever win Coach of the Year award with a different franchise, like with multiple franchises. So he has a illustrious career. He is truly a spectacular coach, a spectacular player, and he seemed like a really great guy.
Yeah, it always seemed to be a class act. I tell you what, when he died recently, the outpouring of from former players like Mike Vick, John Elway, really came out. Players and former teammates in the Cowboys organizations. It tell you the fact that he wasn't like a dominating personality. He wasn't a Belichick. He wasn't a Parcells. But he did have such a profound impact as a player and as a coach, and nothing but success in his NFL career. Hopefully he finds himself in the NFL Hall of Fame one day. I honestly think he deserves it for what he did as a player and as a coach, as a assistant and head coach. I don't know if he'll get in. I think he should. But no matter what, it was a life well lived and an NFL career well done by Dan Reeves.